Hello and welcome. You're watching UATV News with me, Ksenia Bugay. Let's start with the latest developments in Ukraine. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba and head of the President's office, Andriy Yermak, arrived to Washington, D.C. to prepare for the first official visit of the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy to the United States of America to be held on August 30th. During the trip, they will meet with National Security Advisor to the President of the United States, Jake Sullivan, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, as well as with senators and American analysts. A suicide or liquidation of Lukashenko's fort on Tuesday, August 3rd, the body of 26-year-old Belarusian activist Vitali Shishov was found in a forest near Kyiv. The man chaired public organization Belarus House in Ukraine. The organization provides assistance to political refugees. Friends of Shishov are sure that his death is linked to his activities. Our correspondents heard the versions.
Tuesday morning, one of the Kyiv parks on the outskirts of the city. The police are working at the place where the body of the Belarusian activist Vitali Shishov was found a few hours ago. Friends found him after he went missing on a walking run the day before. About 30 people went to the Svetoshin Park. We searched everywhere we could. It continued until 10 p.m. The police, together with the volunteers, left. The closest ones stayed here. At 6 in the morning, we resumed our searches and within an hour and a half found Vitali's body. It was a demonstrative execution of an active member of the Belarusian diaspora in Ukraine in order to intimidate us to stop our activities. The dense forest is literally 10 minutes away from the residential buildings of the Czech village. Belarusian activist Vitali Shishov was found hanged there. Looking closely on the branch, one can still see the traces of the rope. Another friend of Vitali Shishov, Yuri Lebedev, is convinced that it was a murder. According to him, the Belarusian special services are involved in this. The goal is to intimidate those who oppose Alexander Lukashenko's regime. This is what he told our channel. Vitali said that he noticed he was being followed. This information is provided by the police. Nevertheless, he continued to do everything possible to fight this regime and put an end to it. The police also consider the version of premeditated murder as one of the main ones. We are taking a set of measures to establish all the circumstances of the death. All video recordings have been taken from the surveillance cameras. Interrogation of eyewitnesses is underway. Investigators are checking the ways of committing a crime, in particular of committing suicide or committing premeditated murder with imitation of suicide. Belarusian activist Vitali Shishov moved to Ukraine in the autumn of 2020 after taking an active part in protests against Alexander Lukashenko's regime in Gomel. In Kyiv, he headed an organization that helps political refugees from Belarus. In June, the activist created the Telegram channel to gather information about the agents of the Belarusian Committee for State Security working abroad. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Valery Bakus, UATV News.
President Volodymyr Zelenskyy ordered to provide Belarus citizens residing in Ukraine with additional protection. Law enforcement officers also have information that there is danger for some Belarusian public figures who are staying in Ukraine because of their political or social activities.
The president instructed to provide additional protection to the citizens of Belarus who arrived in Ukraine since August of 2020 and whose lives may be in danger due to the current situation. Law enforcement agencies on behalf of the president should develop an algorithm for assessing risks and provide them with constant protection. We are talking not only about political activists but also about athletes. We will not give their names for security reasons. But in general, these are those who are of political or social significance and whose protection is appropriate in these circumstances.
The man who threatened to blow up the building of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine will undergo a psychiatric examination. This was announced by Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine. The perpetrator had been detained. Investigation is underway. The motives for committing a crime are still unknown. Today at 10 o'clock in the morning, a suspect entered the building of the Cabinet of Ministers in Kyiv with an object that resembled an explosive device and threatened to detonate it. The man did not set any conditions. His friend was involved in negotiations that lasted about 10 minutes. Right after that, the man surrendered.
He had a combat grenade in his hands, which could also harm people and the public building. Moreover, he did it in the state building, so the investigation will be held for sure. We don't know where the grenade came from.
Active issuance of passports to residents of separate areas of Donetsk and Luhansk regions is one of the forms of Russian aggression against Ukraine. This was stated by coordinator of the Vostok SOS Charity Foundation, Alexandra Dvoretska. She clarified that the Russian Federation deliberately creates conditions which make it impossible to survive without a Russian passport. Let's take the recent decision that children over the age of 14 cannot leave the territory of the so-called Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics without such documents. That is, having a Ukrainian passport will not be enough. 12 people were prosecuted in the Czech Republic for participating in warfare in the temporarily occupied territories of Donetsk and Luhansk regions in the ranks of the illegal armed groups. This country is the most active to bring its citizens to responsibility for mercenary activities. This was stated by the Prosecutor General of Ukraine, Irina Venediktova, during a walk-in visit to the Czech Republic. Ukraine will use the evidence obtained by investigators against Russia in the International Criminal Court. We'd like to thank the employees of the Czech Prosecutor's Office and other bodies for the fruitful and effective work of the employees of the Czech Prosecutor's Office and other bodies, since the Czech Republic is one of the few countries that is trying its own citizens for participation in the armed conflict on the territory of Ukraine. Significant is the fact that sentences are passed for committing terrorist attacks as part of an organized criminal group. By proving the fact that the Russian Federation attracted citizens of other countries to participate in hostilities in eastern Ukraine, we demonstrate the whole world that the aggressor country disregards the norms of international law, which prohibits the use of mercenaries and prohibits attacks on other states. The Kremlin is putting pressure on countries that openly declare its intention to participate in the Crimean Platform summit. This was announced by the press secretary of the President of Ukraine, Serhiy Nikiforov. Earlier, it was reported that delegations from 29 states will come to the forum.
Треба розуміти, що будь-яка країна, яка 100%...
It should be noted that any country that 100% confirms its participation in the Crimean Platform is suffering pressure from diplomats and perhaps from the special services of the Russian Federation. The question is how a country can resist this pressure. Some of the countries keep their participation in the Crimean Platform secret until the last moment. Some have announced this right away. In any case, the Crimean Platform is coming soon, and we will surely know which countries and at what level will participate.
A large-scale international channel for smuggling counterfeit medicines was exposed on the border with Russia. The State Border Guard Service estimates that channels turnover at millions of Ukrainian hryvnias. Searches were also carried in Kyiv. Persons who sold the counterfeit medicines and a number of drug stores were searched as well.
The MAN vehicle has been detained at the checkpoint on the border with Russia in the Sumy region. Medicines and printed products, including boxes for medicines and instructions for use, were found in the truck. In addition, 4 searches were carried out in drugstores, which were involved in the retail trade of medicines. In general, printed products, instructions, as well as drugs of dubious origin were seized. In general, this is more than 10,000 drugs of more than 1,000 brands.
As of August the 4th, 984 new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed in Ukraine. This was stated by the Center for Public Health. Almost 600 people were hospitalized the day before. Almost the same number of people recovered. The largest number of cases, 236, was recorded in Kyiv. The increase in number of infections is also recorded in Donetsk, Kharkiv, Kherson, and Dnipropetrovsk regions. Up next, Ukrainian Greco-Roman wrestler Jan Beleniuk won gold medal at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic and the finals of the competition in the weight category of up to 87 kilograms. Beleniuk defeated Hungarian Viktor Lorinc. It is the first gold medal of Ukraine. Besides this, our team has already won 2 silver and 7 bronze Olympic medals. Ukraine is at the 71st position in the ranking of the strongest brands in the world. How not to lose these positions and strengthen the national brand, experts discuss at the Ukraine 30 Countries Image Abroad Forum. My colleagues know more details.
Forming a positive image of Ukraine in the world is a priority area of work for the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. Reputation is influenced by many factors, with tourism potential, cultural heritage, innovation and achievement among them.
3
years ago, the Ukrainian government approved Ukraine's national visual brand Ukraine Now, which is a public diplomacy tool to represent the state in the international arena. Ukraine Now is a kind of an umbrella brand that can be developed and used for campaigns in different directions. The brand's philosophy is based on slang now.
The brand is used by not only government agencies but also by businesses as well as by everyone. To popularize the country among foreigners, the Ukraine UA Platform has been created. This is a website, pages on Facebook and Instagram. Every 5th subscriber to the photo bank of Ukraine is a foreigner. The site has recently become available in Spanish. At the same time, the Spanish-language campaign of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and foreign diplomatic institutions of Ukraine in Europe and Latin America is going to start soon.
Ми маємо не просто створювати речі.
We are not just talking about how wonderful we are. We should win in this competitive struggle. As a rule, we work with great brands, and there are several reasons for success. One of them is concentration of efforts. The state budget provides $1,800,000 for the promotion of the tourism potential of Ukraine throughout the world.
Лише цього року ми розпочинаємо.
This year we are starting sociological research, starting work on a unified statistical account, which allows us to understand where the tourists come from, what tourists are waiting for in the first place, and in this way both the ministry and the tourism agency are focused on ensuring the strategic development of promotion. The components of public diplomacy will be the following: business, education, culture, sports and science. Ukraine has something to be proud of and something to show the world. By the way, the cuisine is not the last in the list. Our country has submitted a nomination dossier to the UNESCO list for the Ukrainian borscht to be included in the intangible heritage of mankind. Reported by Volodymyr Zelenskyy, UATV News.
Over the past 6 months, Ukraine has received $40 million from tourists from the Arab countries. Besides, according to the Minister of Culture of Ukraine, compared to year 2020, 3 times more people came to the country. Foreigners arrive with their families and prefer visiting not only capital but also Lviv, Odessa and the Carpathians. What is the reason for such a tourist demand? My colleagues found out.
Picturesque landscapes, temperate climate, architecture and prices. This is what attracts tourists from the Middle East to Ukraine. Kyiv is a beautiful, wonderful city. I liked it very much, especially the diverse places, parks, archaeological zones, temples. I really liked your wonderful Mariinsky Park. I have not seen anything like that in my life. Kyiv is a great place to visit. I really liked the atmosphere in Kyiv. It is a natural atmosphere and a wonderful climate. I liked the landscape, the splendor of the architecture, and the prices are very reasonable here. According to the Visit Ukraine Public Union, about 10,000 tourists from Saudi Arabia came to Ukraine during the summer months. As a comparison, in 2019, Ukraine received only 3,500 guests from this country. Experts say that it is due to quarantined Europe and a visa-free travel.
We managed to join, involve and invite them to the country thanks to the presidential decree on visa-free regime with the countries of the Persian Gulf. This is a jackpot for us. The close European Union to the citizens of Saudi Arabia and the openness of Ukraine underlines, of course, the importance of our efforts to attract tourists. Moreover, the visa-free regime allowed us to attract those tourists. But if business is not prepared, we can lose the pace already next year.
It is important to develop services and take into account the wishes of guests from the Middle East, because Ukrainian tourism and the economy only benefit from this. According to the director of the travel agency, Olena Al-Zakhvari, an Arab tourist spends from $2,000 to $10,000 or more on the vacation.
When they come to Ukraine, they spend a lot of money. They rent cars of the newest models. They are not interested in old models. They rent 5-star hotels. If they come with a big family, then they rent a villa, and they don't come for 2 or 3 days. They have 16-17 days of tourism, and don't forget about shopping.
The Visit Ukraine Union forecasts that this year Ukraine will be able to receive at least 30,000 tourists from Saudi Arabia. According to the organization, this is likely to replenish the budget of Ukraine by more than $100 million this vacation season. Reported by Vadim Kromer and Yulia Bardish, UATV News.
That was our final story for today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages.